have Scott Herring, and I guess all you know, like the region's different, like from a lot of other coal areas in Pennsylvania, the United States, and really in the world, because of the hard coal we have here, anthracite. And Mr. Herring is here to provide some information on the history of the region. He's been dedicated to this task for many years. I was looking at one of the quotes on the media today, and it said, Herring, known as the last anthracite photographer, has spent nearly 45 years documenting the coal regions and its people, places, and resources. And looking at some of the other articles, it shows that we've seen some of the photos where you have to actually get on your back to actually get some of the photos. You know, that was one of our guys that was saying, make sure you mention that. And it's amazing, probably the dedication you put to get in some of these photographs. And we're very fortunate to have this person to talk about the 250th anniversary of the anthracite region. So I think without further ado, and he is a fellow geologist, by the way, and from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, but from the website, the first time you were in a strip pit, you were 3 years old, 2 or 3 years old, and I think he did his first underground mining at around age 8, so that kind of definitely beats me, you know? And one of the things is definitely, I think it's very worthwhile to look at coalman.com, you know, to his website. There's some very interesting photographs and information on there. So without further ado, Scott, it's all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mel. Okay, my name is Scott Herring. I am called in our region the last anthracite photographer. This was a title bestowed upon me probably about 30, maybe 35 years ago now, in reference to the fact that I will probably be the last person at this level to ever deal with anthracite on a cultural basis and go underground photographing. I'm sorry that that's the case. I really am. But that's how the region got to know me. About 25 or 30 years ago, I had my first show, which was for my 20th anniversary, which the Anthracite Heritage Museum put on, where I was just down in meetings from 10 this morning till 4 this afternoon. And they are, of course, in Scranton, and they are a member of the 250th, which I hope you folks will be too after tonight. In the course of doing what I've done, even though I lived out of the area for most of my adult life, which was a blessing because I had to earn the better money to bring back to do this job than what I could get in Tamaka, which is my hometown. I was very graciously, because I was not working in our area, I was given access across all competing company lines, and that has never occurred before. The fact that then in the course of these 40 years, 45 now, leading up to it, I became the one person that basically knew everybody in the coal industry, the associated railroad industry, and all of those things which comprise our cultural heritage. So when it came time to do the 250th, I kept deviling the Independent Miners and Associates, of which I'm a life member. And I kept saying to them, because they are the underground people, those few that we have left, when are we doing something about the 250th? The 250th is coming up in 2018. The 250th is coming up in 2018. So in 2011, they finally got sick and tired of me parroting this back to them. And they said, we are doing something about the 250th when you do something about the 250th. I said, okay, that's good. That's sanctioned. Buckle up. Here we go. That was 6.5 years ago now. What we have done in 6.5 years is we've established a logotype for the 250th, one of 3. This is the primary one. It is the miner fighting with his stubborn mule. It's called Battle of the Thickheads. I don't have to, with a logo like that for this town, I don't have to tell you folks how well that depicts us as a temperament, a region, and a people. So we put that on everything. We came up with the license plate program. This was based on what I did for my 40th anniversary, which was back in 2013. It was very, very successful. And Basically, when you have a chance, come up and look at these. We have covered the region. There are currently 152 different plate designs spread over about 136 organizations, which are represented in the 250th. We actually have more organizations than that, but not all of them did license plates, but an awful lot did. This is just a small sampling of it. As Mr. Mello said, you can go on my website to find out more about me, www.thecoalman.com. That was my industry profile. I was in the mining industry, in the bituminous power generation industry, not anthracite, for 28 years. I am now retired from that. Also, please check out www.hardcoalchronicles.com, which is my body of work. That's what helped me become known to my region and allowed me to have this extreme honor of being the head of the 250th. To that end, I made up a mock-up with the assistance of your folks who sent me pictures based on, this is an Irish town, so I thought we'll use the Irish color scheme. I love your Historic Society logo. The moment I saw it, I just burst into a smile. The crossed railroad tracks behind the Celtic cross above the coal buggy. I can't think of anything that would summarize a town like this better than that. My mom, by the way, she's from Shenandoah. Notice I didn't say Shenandoah, Pennsylvania. There is no such place. That's in Virginia. Shenandoah is in or Shenandoah, or Chendo, or Shenandoah. But there's no Shenandoah, Pennsylvania. And Mom is from there, and on that side, I go back, I am 5th generation underground for my family, because they were Irish potato famine people who came over in the 1840s, of course. On my dad's side, I'm a Pennsylvanian German. I'm an 11th generation Pennsylvanian German, going back, not through the Herring name, which was 1749, but through marriage, of course, 1683. So we have been in Pennsylvania a very long time, or as I like to tell the daughters of the American Revolution types, yes, we were kicked out of Europe early. So I met you folks through this gentleman down at Old Forge when I was presenting to them. I have gone around to the various historical societies of the region. We did a broadcast mailing, actually 4 of them, believe it or not, covering the past 6 years. It's usually best when I meet people in person though, because then something happens and we follow up. What I am asking you for tonight is to join in your region's 250th anniversary. I very much hope I'm wrong when I say this, but I don't think we'll be celebrating a 300th here, for obvious reasons. I hope somebody proves me wrong. Maybe some of what we do with the 250th will make an impact on children alive today who will remember it, and when they're 65 or 70 years old, they'll say, hey, we're doing a 300th. That's one of the goals of this. And they will remember what we did at the 250th, I'm hoping. Now, the 250th is entirely nonprofit. We disappear on December 31 of this coming year, which is actually just 5 days after the actual 250th anniversary. The 250th anniversary is December 26th of 2018. December 26th of 1768, there were 5 townships founded by the Connecticut Company under C2C land grant from King Charles II of England. They thought that they owned everything west of New York State also, all the way to the Pacific Ocean, and nobody at that time even knew where that was exactly. So the Wyoming Valley they tried to settle, and actually successfully did. Their descendants, by the way, are there today. One of which, I don't know if he's still head, but he was the head last year of the Pittston Historical Society. His mother is descended from the original settlers. That is the 1768 date, so we are still here. William Penn also, not from a 1662 land grant, but from a 1681 land grant, also had an overlapping claim up here. There were 3 Pennamite wars fought about whether it's really Connecticut or Pennsylvania that owns this turf, and it was finally settled by federal intervention in 1794 by the then new US federal government. I think they awarded it to Pennsylvania, frankly, because it's contiguous with the rest of the colony, not separated as Connecticut's claim was, although there were other issues. However, all of the people that fought then over that turf, whether they were Pennsylvanians coming up from the south, Connecticut people coming in from the east to settle, they have all intermarried there now, as I just gave you an example of. We're still here. So 1768 is not an obscure date, it's real. The settlers from the Connecticut Company immediately sent, when they were looking and hadn't even purchased the land from the Indians, which was on December 26th of 1768, as I said, they immediately sent coal that they found in outcroppings along the river, which was the Susquehanna down there, back to England for analysis. That came back. They knew what anthracite was because Wales has it and had been mining for a long time, but they knew it was also difficult to burn. So this coal, because we were in the Age of Enlightenment then, remember, despite being interrupted by our own revolution, this was the new age of scientific invention and industrialization. England was 150 years ahead of us in industrialization. So they knew what it was, and that's one of the reasons, by the way, why that area was so well fought over by both Pennsylvania and Connecticut. They wanted the mineral wealth. Nonetheless, that coal also, the minute that we settled the area down there, which was after the purchase from the Indians on that date, people started digging in outcrops and throwing it in their fireplaces of their little cabins and all, and trying to use it to burn, and it would catch eventually, but they didn't know if it truly had industrial use. There was a man named Obadiah Gord Jr., who lived from 1744 to 1821. He ended up being a prominent judge here in Pennsylvania. He was a young man at the time. He was a blacksmith. He put it in his forge and he kept working on it until it caught. And he used bellows and an elevated draft system, much like Judge Fell had to find out how to do with his stove in 1808. And he proved that through forced draft that this anthracite had great industrial potential for the settlers there and later for America. It did. One of the things that we have to fight against here in history is that we are a largely, I'm sorry to say, forgotten corner of America. In an extrapolated sense, if you look at the dissemination of investment, technologic development, and skilled labor, anthracite created more wealth than anything else in American history. And we are the wealthiest country the world has ever produced. What does that tell you? We have a lot to be proud of here. It is so dominant in our history as a country that it is lost in ubiquity, meaning it became so commonplace, all of the technology that we developed, all of the investment, all the skilled labor that went around this country, that nobody thought of it as special anymore. That's why we are largely forgotten in that. But you know better from here. Look at that. Done in 1976, was it?
Yeah.
By your sister?
Yep.
We know what this all meant. That is part of what we're celebrating. I am from Tamaqua. 4 generations of my dad's family's been from Tamaqua. As I said earlier, mom's from Shendo. But it doesn't matter that I'm from Tamaqua. My experience here in the coal region is exactly the same as all of yours. That's why we're a people. It doesn't matter when you were born, where you were born in the coal region, it's all the same. If that wasn't true, we wouldn't be a region today. We would not have a unique identity. We are the melting pot that America wishes it was. This is where we took what the Anthracite Heritage Museum, based on mining records, determined, maybe 15, 20 years ago now, is the agglomeration that is 70 plus countries of origin and 110 different ethnicities. We brought it together because they're all anthracite. That's something America in general has never achieved yet. So we have a lot to be proud of. To that end, I'm coming to you as a child of anthracite, as all of you are, to join in with your 250th. This is what we can do. No one at the 250th is turning a profit on anything. Our job is support. We disappear at the end of the year, as I said. You folks are the legacy organizations that will go on beyond the 250th year. We will help you if you want to do license plates as a fundraiser. We will lay out the license plates for you. They're yours at cost to sell as you choose. If you need other support material, this is always my personal gift to any organization that comes on. Coal stages showing how anthracite evolves and illustrated with my images through the years in that industry. These we will tailor it to special from, and in this case, what would be Archibald Historical Society. You can hand these out at any of your events. I will make sure you always have enough for that, because I want you to spread the message about what the geology behind our culture is. And that's on me. So that costs you nothing. Unfortunately, the 2018 calendars, we're in 2018, they're all out. But please take a look. I'll leave this Lackawanna one with you. That covers your end of the woods up here, and hope you like it a lot. So, and these are, by the way, these are not calendars, these are collector's items, as I'm sure you can see. Very proud to say, we had at least 2, and probably, as it turns out, maybe 3 to 4 private collections that have never released material before for any purpose that gave us material for the calendars. So they are collector's items. You ought to see what's in there. Here's an example also of what I do. This is the tourism book for Schuylkill County. Has a miner's picture on the front. You'll notice it is also the same mining picture on this sign example that the 250th has developed that goes up across the region. I want to read this to you for a moment so that you get it in context. There are 2 types of signage. They're both usually on the back of each calendar. You have this one with the leaf, which is the cultural statement piece. That's universal to the region. And you have the diamond, which is the location specific, which would be talking about Archibald, should you put up a sign here in this town. We talk about you specifically there. This one, however, this is our statement piece. Up at the top, of course, it would say Archibald, Pennsylvania, or whatever you wanted in that, but it's still the same. It began with a leaf fall 300 million years ago. Anthracite is the only coal which evolved beyond geology. Here in northeastern Pennsylvania, it became the symbol and identity of a unique and historic region and cultural heritage. We, the people of the Black Diamond, are the only people on earth to take our cultural name from coal mining, iron making, and railroading. In 2018, we celebrate the 250th anniversary of our anthracite family origin and destiny. This is the cultural statement piece. They are now going up all over the region. So, and these also are provided, if you want them for your town, at cost. And of course, they're much bigger. They're usually 4 by 6 feet. But having said that, I want to make one more comment about how important this 250th is, particularly to us. Notice I said people of the Black Diamond. We call ourselves coal crackers. But our formal name is the people of the Black Diamond. That's why the Lehigh Valley Railroad was the route of the Black Diamond. The Black Diamond is a reference most specifically to anthracite of all coal, not because it's going to progress to diamonds, that's a myth. It actually progresses to graphite with more heat and pressure, which is pencil lead. But because how beautiful the stone is. And it is a great symbol for us. We are the only people on earth, as it says, that have ever taken our name from coal. We went farther than any other coal region on earth. And we're not even in the first 5 from this country. But nothing happened in coal like what happened here. Even the Welsh, who have the longest continuity of mining on earth today, coal mining, they have 2,000 years of history of coal mining. We know that because the Romans, when they were trying to take them over, were sending back army reports about what they found in Wales and mentioned it in their reports back to Rome. Even the Welsh had another culture in place and never named themselves for their coal. Here we did, including all the Welsh people who live in this region. So we need to be very proud of this history. Having said that, I don't know if it dawned on any of you, because we named ourselves for the coal, because even though anthracite's available commercially in over 24 countries across the world, it's not unique to here. What's unique to here is it's our name and our emotion about it. But think of it, we are the only place to take our name from it. That makes us an indigenous American cultural heritage, as much as any American Indian. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. We only exist here. It's our cultural region. We have a homeland. We have a history. We have a heritage. We have our own language. And we are a people. That's it. We are an indigenous American cultural heritage. And there are very few that are comprised of European stock. Anybody know another one, by the way, offhand? Classic example. 5 years older than we are. There's your hint. French and Indian War, 1763, Cajuns displaced to Louisiana from Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. They are an indigenous American culture also. They now have swamps as their homeland. They wrestle alligators. You know swamp people on the television. And the wealth of their culture is far beyond that, though. But so we share that with them. But I'm very proud that I have a cultural heritage that is American on top of being an American. And that by no means means that I gave up my European identities of being Irish and German either. So, okay, now, there are a lot more support material available. We put anything on our websites to support any event that you do. If you want to take on license plates or other things which are always sold to your benefit, like I said, they're at cost to you. We will help you in the support of those sales to benefit your organization, because we want everybody to do well from the 250th, and the emphasis is on it. As I mentioned earlier in reference to other things, most of you may not have heard, been on the TV numerous times, not only me, but a whole bunch of other people for the 250th. We've been on the radio. A lot of people know about it. We are now getting responses in from our website from out of the country, Australia, England. It's coming in. Regularly, we get Arizona and California and Texas and Maryland and what have you in the United States too, because 7 decades of outmigration from the area since World War II, there are actually more anthracite people that live outside of our region than the 1.5 million still within. But they are anthracite too. And this is also their 250th anniversary. So, having said all that, I hope you will join with us. I can't think of a better match. If you do, you will be the 172nd organization to do so. We are spread, and it's not, by the way, anthracite culture is much larger than just where there's a coal mine in your backyard, these 450 square miles. We are the entire 1,200 square miles that includes the bottom tier of New York and the western edge of New Jersey. The zinc and mineral belt over there is also culturally anthracite. And Binghamton, New York is our coal evacuation yards to the north of our region, just like Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton is to the south, and Reading is, and Harrisburg. And we go as far west as Williamsport. And Sayre, by the way, which I don't have that plate out here, but it looks similar to this because it's a Lehigh Valley plate, but Sayre, Pennsylvania also has their plate. So we are a very extensive cultural region. And thank you very much for having me. Thank you for listening. And please let me know if you would like to join the 250th. Thank you, sir.